Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
She really thought she could cheat on me and get me to raise his child. I don't have many people in my life right now, but I'm hoping that you can all join me in celebrating this little victory. My ex-boyfriend and I had been together for 4 years. I went out shopping for an engagement ring the day after I found out she'd been having an affair with another man. She'd been seeing the guy for 6 months, and he just lately discovered my existence, which coincided with the moment I discovered him. He gave her an ultimatum, and she chose him as the one to fulfill it. As much as I wanted to be with her, I couldn't be with a cheater, so I spent the next month and a half working extra jobs and increasing my gym time to keep myself distracted from her. I blocked her and her family, since they are in general unpleasant people to deal with. When I got an SMS from an unknown number, everything seemed to be back to normal. When I answer the phone, it's my ex telling me she's pregnant and that the father. Despite the fact that I don't believe her, it's better to be safe than sorry for the benefit of my prospective son or daughter. I am willing to pay to get a paternity test done. Despite the fact that he and I were the only males she'd been with in years, and that he previously tested negative, she insists that the HIV was mine. When I keep insisting on obtaining the test, she finally agrees to schedule one after much back and forth. We will meet up beforehand and then head to the clinic where it will be performed. I agree with her since she has finally consented to sit for the test. Because of this, we plan to meet in a coffee shop near to the clinic. I'm looking forward to having a talk about what to do if I end up being the biological father. Instead, she tries to turn the conversation into a nostalgic remembrance of the good old days when we were together, replete with a host of emotional memories of our time together in the past. I'm attempting to concentrate that conversation on the child and the exam, but she keeps returning to the subject of our relationship and how she misses what we had before. I'm so concerned about the potential child I'll be responsible for that I'm not paying attention to what she's trying to convince me to accept her back. Whenever it's time for us to go for the clinic, she asks if I have any plans for the day and if I'd like to go get something to eat and hang out at her apartment for a little before we leave. I responded that my only plans for the day were to take her to the clinic for our paternity test and then figure out what to do next. I received a positive result. I just want to get this junk out of the way as soon as possible. So why not take a trip down memory lane with me? Then she excuses herself to go to the toilet and returns a few minutes later, stating that the clinic had called and that she wanted to postpone the appointment. Indicated that they had called her while she was in the lavatory was a resounding no. So I called the clinic, and the receptionist panicked and said she had never scheduled the appointment in the first place. At this moment, all remaining concerns about the child's paternity have been removed. In the end, I persevered in pressuring her for the truth, and she finally broke down and confessed to my surprise. It was discovered that the new boyfriend was the father after a paternity test. She has not been able to locate him since he found out about it and subsequently ghosted her. When she realized what had happened, she called her mother, who recommended her to contact me about becoming the baby's father since I am an upstanding gentleman who would do what is right and raise this child. This was said by the woman who had earlier stated that she would rather die than let me inside her home. In the end, once I had extracted the truth, or at least a portion of the truth from her, I got up and left without saying anything further. On my return, I was greeted by hundreds of messages from my ex-girlfriend, her family, and her friends, all of whom had set up new accounts specifically for the purpose of pleading with me to take her back and calling me an idiot for abandoning her. There was also one man who simply kept sending me sick images, which I found incredibly amusing. Please accept my gratitude on behalf of everyone who has been patient with me during my ranting and retelling of these occurrences. Walking away from her and finally realizing that I'm better off without her has been such a freeing experience, and I hope I can hold on to it for as long as I need to since I really needed it. Story 2. Mom had an affair 18 years ago. I, 18 Malk, am the product of it. My dad just informed me of all this and told me he will not pay for my college, while my siblings got their college experience paid by our dad. That's pretty basically the title. I have no clue how to comprehend it, and I am entirely unprepared for what is to come. My elder brother and sister both attended the same college. My brother graduated 2 years ago, and my sister will follow in 2 years. Our father paid for both of them college educations. Dad covered all of their college expenditures, including housing, food, automobiles, and pocket money. My brother now has a job, his own home, lives with his girlfriend, and has his life together. My sister already has a good-paying job, and my father still covers practically all of her expenses. I was excited to communicate with my parents about the following steps and ask them to aid me like they had done for my brothers after being admitted to the same institution. I had always thought that they had saved money for my college education in the same manner that they did for my brothers. Instead, I was presented with a tale about my mother's adultery, how I am the product of her cheating, and how my father is no longer willing to support me in the future. Dad informed me that Mom had 18 years to tell me and prepare me for the future, but she plainly didn't. He stated it was never his place to say anything since I wasn't his kid, and he didn't want to interfere with his mother's parenting. Apparently, my grandparents are aware that I'm not my father's biological son, but they haven't bothered to inform me. My siblings had no clue, and they are as astonished as I am since there was never any indication that anything was wrong. Maybe I was naive, but I always felt I had a good connection with my father. We attend to sporting events together, we go fishing together, he coached me when I had arithmetic problems, my father is an engineer, and he taught me to drive. I never got the impression he had grudges against me. He gave me my name and explained what it meant, and he was quite proud of it. It's a tale he recounts now and then. He loves to say things like that about me, despite the fact that my mother has never said anything to me. She was reportedly supposed to have the chat with me, which she never did. I'm feeling abandoned and ill-prepared for what is about to unfold before me. Although I had always assumed that my parents would finance the fees of college, I am now unsure if I will be able to do so. I've never worked before, and I'm not sure what kind of job I'll be able to get to help me pay for college. I also have no idea how to go about applying for student loans. My mom had just sobbed and expressed her regret. But nothing substantial. She has no idea how she may be of use to me. No one knows if I will be accepted back into the house anymore. Everything is up in the air. I feel ashamed leaving my room, and if I'm asked to leave the house, I have no idea where to go. I don't have any savings, only a few $100s. When it comes to my mother, I'm not sure where I stand, and I'm not sure where I stand with my father. There is a man out there who claims to be my father, but who has never shown any interest in me or my family. I'm experiencing feelings of rejection, and I'm at a loss on what to do. Is there anybody around that knows what to do in this situation? Is it necessary for me to apologize to my father? What do you recommend I tell him? No idea, since I've been holed up in my room for the last several days, reading and exploring Reddit as much as possible. I'm completely at a loss on what to do.